It is March 6, 2023. I'm back over here at Adams Elementary School, starting this week off in 3rd grade. It's great to be back, and I just got my roster and everything, and one of the persons in the front office was very happy that I'm back, saying it's a pleasure to have me back, and I said, well, it's a pleasure to be back. Well, the day is almost over. They're out to PE right now, and then afterward it's like 10 minutes and then it's dismissal. But the day went excellent. They were very polite, respectful, on task for like most of today, and then in between there were some tasks where they're a bit talkative, but other than that, it was an excellent day today, and they really enjoyed all the tricks. I showed them tons of magic tricks and my juggling at the end and such. I'm glad that I was here today and can't wait for tomorrow, which is going to be very special. Just stay tuned in like 2 seconds. It's Tuesday, May 7th, 2023, and I'm over here at Kaiser Elementary serving a half day for 3rd grade today. And I'm inside here in this classroom and very excited to be here, and for the first time ever subbing in almost 1 year, there is actually a piano in this room, so I will hopefully get to serenade on the piano, and hopefully the students will sing along, like when there's time, of course. But right now I'm about to look at the sub notes and prepare for the day. And just like that, my duties here are done. I just sent them off to music class with their recorders. I remember when I was in 3rd grade, I got recorders over at Newport Heights Elementary, and I am going to be here for the next 45 minutes and just helping the teacher like tape the papers and such, and then she's coming back at noon and I'm leaving around 11:45 when the 3rd graders go out to lunch. At the start of the day today, I went outside, walked around, and a few students asked me to do like magic tricks and such, so I pulled out a deck of cards and such, and I was walking all the way around back here to the classroom, and the bell rang, and I was just standing there waiting, and I was waiting. I saw all these students like go by, but no one was entering. So imagine this, I'm standing here at the door, and there's a wall here and the corner of the wall, and I walk like no more than 5 or 6 feet around the corner, and there's a whole line of like 20 or more students just like lined up right there, just back against the wall and everything. I'm like, I didn't even know that you were here, so I just introduced myself, and then they all came in and got seated, and it was quite a melodious start because I got permission like last week from the teacher to play the piano, and so I played bingo on the piano and they sang along, and it was just so tranquil to be playing with people singing in the background, especially children singing in the background. It's been a few years. I used to do the Royal Rangers Christmas Choir before COVID, and that's where I used to play a whole bunch of Christmas carols and Christmas songs to children singing in the background. Live music. And so afterward this morning, they were doing a huge presidential research project where everyone had their own presidents. So I said pick a number between 1 and 46, and I gave the biography to number 35, which one person called out, like because I know their birthdays, death dates, term dates, and all that. So it was quite fun for the next hour, give or take, and I just walked around and I took questions. Lots of people raised their hands, so could you help me with this, could you help me with that, and I pointed to the research, and I also gave my input and what knowledge that I know, and I come to realize I know a lot of DOK1 knowledge or so. I just memorized a lot of facts, and I still remember some trivia of the presidents, and it was very fun to help out. In other places I just pointed to the research and said, well, reread this part and do some like highlighting, underlining, or some form of annotation. And so it was quite fun. When I was their age, literally their age, and give and take several years, that's when I got heavily interested in the presidents of the United States, and I would look at their pictures and read the books and everything about the presidents. So it was quite fun. And then afterward I did the Star Spangled Banner on the piano, and then they all sang along. And serving a half day and everything, I didn't get to do a whole lot of tricks, much less juggling or anything, but it was still fun to be here. I did get to show the rope trick and a card trick and such. But the day is not over yet, and no, I'm not just talking about Royal Rangers tonight, which is almost every Tuesday, so I'll be at Rangers tonight, but I have somewhere to serve in between. And I'm rushing off to head over to the second place of the day that I'm going to, which is right over here at Newport Heights Elementary, subbing a half day for 2nd grade today. And finally here inside this classroom, about to read through the sub notes and everything. And on the way over here, I was like stopped by so many students from various grade levels recognizing me and just wanting me to do like a card trick and everything. And let's just say that they screamed very loud after the tricks. And just like that, it's over. An excellent day serving 2 half days. The second time I'm doing this, but the first time was to different schools. So it was excellent, very talkative, but these are second graders, and like 99% of them remember me from last June 10th when I juggled for them in the just a couple of rooms down, where my former 3rd grade teacher now teaches 1st grade. And speaking of which, I just ran into him a couple of times today, so it's like we're working in the same school together again, so full circle. So when they got back from lunch, it was like reading time, so I had to read aloud, and there's a whole bunch of books. I read a couple of weather books and like half of a book about Abraham Lincoln, talking about presidents and everything. And then during their Wonders book, they were talking about Alaska and the Arctic and everything. And when I was at Kaiser, we were reading in their Wonders book about the Mojave Desert and hotter climates. So it was basically like a spelling, grammar, reading afternoon with a little like brain break playing outside for 15 minutes in between. And I only had about 40 seconds to juggle, so I gave them a little juggling act of like 3 and 4, and they were very impressed again about that, and they all enjoyed it. And also I ran into one of the teachers who was a teacher when I was a student here, and I talked to her for about 5 minutes or so, just catching up on everything and about what I'm doing as a teacher. And also as I was talking to her, several students here and there kept on saying hi to me and waving and such, remembering when I subbed the last time. And then that's when I ran into one of my now former classmates in the master's program at Vanguard University. So it was small world to see her, and like the last time that I came, I ran into a person in the credential program who was finishing up her student teaching here. So again, small world. Well, 2 days down this week so far. Can't wait for the rest to see where I'm going to be at. And 3 classes in 2 days. And Royal Rangers tonight. And so I just ran into the principal just now as I was turning in the key, and the principal pointed at me and said that her son, who goes over to Kaiser, came home the day that I subbed for him in his class, and he said that I was like the best sub ever. So that's really reassuring to me that I'm on the right track, and that's all that matters, that you know they get the content, but that I'm making it fun and doable. It's March 9th, 2023. I'm over here at Mariners Elementary subbing 6th grade today. I'm inside this classroom. I was just at the office. As soon as I walked in, actually before I walked in, I overheard one of the office ladies say, "Oh, our friend's back." And I walked in, we were both smiling, and I signed in and everything. And then I came in here, room 19, and when I was in 5th grade at Newport Heights Elementary, my 5th grade class was room 19. But in this grade 6 class, I come in here and I see a picture of the teacher, and it's like, oh, I've met him before when I was a sub here in the past. So it is after lunch. Right now they're in music class, and then after music class is coding robots, and then after that it's like 10 more minutes and then we're done. It was an extremely loquacious day, but they're very kind in heart, and I'm glad that I was here today. As all the students were coming in, a lot of the students from the other 6th grade class that I subbed for last December told these students that they're going to like me as a sub. So far I got to do a couple of tricks through the talkativeness. I really had to enforce some strict discipline and such, just helping them out in self-discipline and just trying to not talk and everything, and I think I was making some breakthroughs here and there. But other than that, I'm sure that at the end of the day they'll earn like the juggling and all that. They're very interested in the magic tricks, quote unquote. One of them is the younger brother of a person whom my student taught last fall. So small world. And speaking of which, at lunchtime I accepted a position for tomorrow, so I know where I'm going to be tomorrow. At recess time I got to re-meet to the principal, and I expressed to him for the first time that I'm willing to volunteer as in an all-school assembly to speak and juggle about disability awareness and acceptance and all that, autism awareness, acceptance, not bottling things up inside, and that I've influenced thousands around the world and in person in my messages, and I know that's a PTA thing, so I was telling him that the Harbor Council PTA should know about me. That's what I've heard. I've received the email, but he said that it is extraordinarily packed, so maybe next year. Regardless, I just hope to come sometime and juggle and speak voluntarily. there was a time after recess, actually right after recess, when that other 6th grade class came in here. It was like rotations, and I heard it was something new that they were doing, even though when I was at Newport Heights Elementary since 4th grade, that's what we were doing, rotations, but I guess they're starting that here. And so they were all very excited to have me again for a short period of time as their sub. At lunchtime, I ran into the 3rd graders whom I subbed for last time I was here. And the students in this class, actually, some of them actually know me from the past. Some ran into me, like when I'm walking in the neighborhood, I sometimes run into students, and sometimes they're in crowds. So at one time recently, I ran into a group of students, like half were from the other class and some were from this class. There's actually another person who has an older sibling that I know over at Ensign, so again, small world. And to conclude this section of the day, the math portion, right before lunch. Another exam. I can't help during an exam. All I could do is like rephrase the question and all that. Can't teach or help in math or anything like that. So I guess it's still 50-50. It's like sometimes I get to teach math and other times I have to keep my mouth shut, basically. Well, anyway, so far so good. And that's it, the conclusion to an excellent day. They enjoyed the magic trick and the juggling at the end. And I just ran into the 3rd grade teacher whom I subbed for last time, and she was very happy to meet me. She's like, oh yes, you were their favorite sub or something like that. In fact, she told me that earlier today. All of her students today pointed me out. I feel very privileged that I was remembered in that way, and I feel privileged that I made such a difference. And concluding this week off here on March 10th, 2023, and although it's rainy, today's going to be very special. I'm back over here at Ensign Intermediate, but not only am I subbing for any class, I'm subbing for my former mentor teacher right here in this room. And it is just great to be back. I just set my stuff down, breathed in, and oh my gosh, it's extraordinarily amazing to be back here. And not only that, but I'm going to be teaching another math lesson, and it was a lesson that was taught 53 weeks ago in this classroom, but not by me, but my now former mentor teacher. But I did take notes, and I brought the workbook and everything, and I'm ready to teach it today. It's about changing the vertex, because this is like their 3rd lesson of vertex form. They just were taught standard form and factored form, and it's the last lesson of Unit 6 and Unit 7 about quadratics. They're going to have so much fun. That's why I did my BST semester, my basic student teaching semester, were like Units 6 and 7. And also I just noticed that I got another Mr. Kenslow card, so I'll be opening that soon. Back in this copier room making copies. I'm already being put to work making 82 like double-sided copies of these things, a stack of TRFs to grade, which would bring back memories. T-minus 10 minutes for the bell to ring, 15 minutes for the class to begin, the first of 2 math lessons that I'll be teaching once again. And everyone seems to be excited that I'm back. The office personnel are excited. One of the teachers walked in and said, oh, Matthew's on campus. And the security personnel and I, as well as one of the janitors, had a little conversation about how things have been. So everyone's saying hi and glad that I'm back. Oh, and apparently that card to me that said Mr. Kenslow is from a student from last year. So I'm not sure if he came back or if that was something that I was supposed to get over a year ago or almost a year ago. But still, it was a very nice card. And so the day's over and it is done, and it was amazing to teach a math lesson again here. Both 2nd and 3rd period were phenomenal, outstanding, and once again, 3rd period I think had it better than 2nd period in terms of teaching, but still, I brought this book, and this is exactly what I had last year, like literally 1 year ago at this time, like doing Units 6 and 7 especially. So anyway, a lot of nostalgia. Every period when students entered, or I opened the door and students saw me and they were entering, they were very amazed and happy to see me again, and they were like very excited about it. And then that continued throughout the rest of the day, and also during like lunchtime and everything, a lot of students were coming up and saying hi and everything. So I know it's been like about a month and a half, and yes, most of them I still remember their birthdays and everything. And also a lot of them, whether they're students in this class or I see them outside, I'm like, I just subbed for your sister, or I just subbed for your brother over at like Kaiser or Mariners and such. I joked and said after several days in a row substituting elementary schools, I died and I came back as a ghost. So, but no, then I said, of course, it's a pleasure and a thrill to be subbing everywhere, including elementary schools, actually, especially elementary schools. They all like the magic tricks, quote unquote, and everything. And speaking of which, all the periods were very good, especially the first 3 sets of classes that I taught, barring SSR. And so I got to do my adapted number strict. 8 students told me when to stop somewhere in the deck, and then 3 students picked 3-digit numbers each, and the product of which were the cards, basically, as you could see here in this video that I took. Grading those TRFs really brought me back some memories. The TRFs for AVID are kind of a bit different looking now, but I was able to follow along, and I was just glad to be put back to work again. I told the teacher, I just would like to remind you something I told you last November, that if ever you meet a sub who actually knows how to teach math, and not only that, but who has actually been here while you were doing this last year, including the lessons that I've actually taught myself last year, then please don't hesitate to let me know. It was, again, like I would count it a miracle that I just happened to see it on Frontline and such. But hopefully in the future, since I pretty much know all the lessons, especially Unit 7 and such, I'd be more than willing to come back. So I left that in the notes to the substitute, along with like an entire page with cursive and Gothic calligraphy, just explaining how wonderful this day was, how the students were. However, even though most of today was perfect, there was still one more quandary that happened this morning. Technology was not my friend this morning. To turn on the iPad, I turned on the projector, the screen, everything. I did the VV thing where I screen shared and all that. However, the program that takes pictures of the workbook and I could just directly annotate on the iPad and it projects on the screen, it was out of storage and everything, so I couldn't even open it at first. So I kind of had the foresight to just make copies and use the document camera, something I've never really done before. I mean, I used the document camera, but not for the workbook when I was a student teacher, that is. And so I had the foresight, I went up and I made copies, and so I made 2 sets of the lesson. But by the time second period started, it seemed to be working fine up until the end of the first page or the beginning of the next page. So I'm like, you know what, document camera. So I did everything for the rest of the second period and all the third period under the document camera, kind of just what I was doing with as a substitute teacher the past several months. So it's like second nature now, and I made do and got to adapt. Anyway, once again, a remarkable conclusion to a remarkable week. I thank everyone who's following this journey, and if you aspire to be a teacher, then just don't give up, or whatever you want to do in life, don't give up. Disability or not, anybody can do whatever you set your heart and mind to do, and I'm setting out to prove that. I have proven that I am unstoppable with autism, and if I could do it, then so can anybody else, plus more. Once again, a big thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.